We are what we repeatedly do. Therefore, excellence is not an act, but a habit. This is one of my favorite quotes from Aristotle, and I think it's really important because oftentimes our life is a culmination of our habits. And when we think about the habits that we either do consciously and or subconsciously, they might be keeping you stuck instead of moving you forward. Now, if I know anything about you, you probably journal, you try to meditate, you want to really be that version of yourself that really feels like the highest embodiment of who she is, but you're still feeling stuck. You're still feeling as if you can't implement boundaries, that you overcommit yourself, that you are going at 100 miles an hour, although you say that you want to be living a soft life. And I want to talk about how oftentimes the habits that we truly want to change are so subconsciously ingrained because they served us at one point, but they might not serve where we want to be. So I want to share with you today 3 sneaky habits that a lot of overachievers have and how to recognize them and then start reprogramming your mindset so that you can move forward with intention. The first habit is over-planning or overthinking instead of taking imperfect action. Now, I get it. When you were younger, you probably got a 96 on a test and then got mad at yourself because you missed the extra 4 points. I get it because you are so used to being perfect or where everything is okay that you are afraid of becoming a beginner again. I say this because I see you, and this also used to be a version of myself that I was really grounded in until I started realizing the impact of imperfect action, the beauty of becoming a beginner, the reality that you are moving from a lot more experience than you might have had 5, 10, or 15 years ago in your life and your career. But oftentimes we have a sentiment of worth in who we are, how we do things, and the way that we are perceived by others, that we actually don't take action because we want it to be perfect. Now, here's the thing. You can plan and you can strategize as much as you want, but if you do not start, you will never be able to see the traction that you know that you're capable of. I want to share with you a quick tip that I started implementing in my life around 2 years ago when we moved into our beautiful home, Casa Luna. Now, our home is beautiful, it is spacious, it is filled with potential and projects and a really strong foundation. But when we moved here, let me tell you, it was not cared for. And so for the first 3 to 6 months, we were really focusing on how to be able to create a baseline for the home that we knew we wanted to create, but recognizing that it will not be perfect from the beginning. So I created what I called my 1.0 rule. And that 1.0 rule means whatever project that I take on, I'm not trying to have it be my Pinterest board version. I need it to be the 1.0 version that would make me feel good enough to be able to live with it. It's that simple. And when I think we start practicing this 1.0 version, so that could look like, in my case, painting a room from a horrendous pink to white. That's the 1.0 version, which means I could sit in the room and not be overwhelmed or overstimulated by these bright ass walls, where I could just be able to feel the minimal vibes that I wanted to. The reason why that 1.0 version works is because with that 1.0 version, I felt confident because I took action. So from that 1.0 version, I was then able to move to 2.0. One of the walls that I painted was a hot mess because I'm not a painter. So I bought some beautiful wallpaper, some floral wallpaper, and I put up the wallpaper on the wall. We moved from 1.0 to 2.0, a little bit more joy. 3.0, I decided to buy a sofa that felt right. And I decided to find some antique tables to really give the space a vibe. Now that's the 3.0 version. And now I love being in our living room upstairs. It's where we play chess, where I read, where we use the fireplace in the winter time. And I would not have gotten to that 3.0 version if I didn't start with the version 1, which was painting it from that horrendous pink to the white. Now I'm sharing this 1.0 framework so that you can start using it no matter what it is that you're thinking about in life. What is the 1.0 version that you can take today, this week, this month, to move towards your Pinterest board vision of whatever it is that you're trying to do. So I want you to ask yourself, what is one thing you've been holding back on? And what is one action you can take in the next 48 hours to move one step closer? And I'm saying 48 hours because that gives you time to think and take action. Because oftentimes you know what you need to do, but you're trying so hard to think of the 90-day strategy, the long plan to make it happen. What is the first step? What is that 1.0? And how can you commit to taking action today? The second habit is seeking validation before you take a move. And if you haven't yet, I want to invite you to listen to the Stop Caring What Other People Think episode on leading with intention, because it really dives into the way that we use external expectations and listening to other people's opinions as a form of self-sabotage. But I want to give you a quick recap today. Seeking validation before making a move might mean asking 5 of your friends, your family, your community, Joe Schmo on the street, what they think about your idea when you know you truly want to do it. That might look like spending 50 minutes in ChatGPT trying to refine an idea instead of trusting and listening to your own intuition. That might look like saying that you have to put out a poll or a community survey. I'm big on market research, but not overdoing it, to really be able to say, I can't validate my thought, my intuition, or what I know I need to do without hearing what everyone else wants. And what that is truly doing is creating a belief system that you do not trust yourself, because you are searching for everyone else's opinions instead of honoring what you know is already true. And so when we're thinking about trying to move from seeking validation to being able to center a sentiment of self-trust, I want you to think about making one small move that you know that you want to make without asking for anyone's approval. Just do it. And the third habit that I think is really important, and this might sound like a contradiction because I am a coach who works and supports people on their personal and professional journeys, but oftentimes you get stuck working on yourself forever without actually making change. You read the books, you listen to the podcast, you take the courses, you download the workbooks, etc., 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 but you never actually make change. And I think this one is so important because we wrap up self-improvement with a pretty bow and we call it a day. But in reality, it's important to recognize that as you are healing, as you are growing, as you are moving through to become the person that you know you truly want to be, you still have to live life during that process. So I want to end this episode with letting you know that these habits aren't wrong, and they most likely served you up until a single point in your life. But what I do want to let you know is that if you want to move forward to a new level, to a new chapter, to a new version or era for yourself, you might need to release some of these habits. And so I've given you tons of tools, context, and insight on what they are, why they matter, and small steps that you can take to move through. So if you loved what you learned, feel free to share on social, tag me at Sienna J. Brown on almost all platforms, comment below, like, follow, subscribe, all of the things, because your engagement is really what helps this podcast continue moving forward, and because I love to hear from you. I love to hear what resonates. I love to hear what you want to learn more of, and I love to be able to really see the wins that you have on your personal transformation. So I want to remind you that you do not need to have the entire plan, but it starts with taking one step, creating that 1.0 version, and taking that intentional, imperfect action to be able to create the life and the career that you want. I'll see you in the next episode.